I've been collecting information on the coronavirus for about 7 months now, and I'd planned to put all that information into one video with the conclusion stating why I think what I think is happening, if that makes sense. But I realised that with so much information that I've collected, it's not possible to do it in one video. So I thought back to when I was at school in math lessons. We were told to always show our workings out. Now, I was very good at simultaneous equations. I could do them in my head and I'd get the right answer, but without showing how I got there. So I've always had that at the back of my mind since I left school. So this video is going to be about showing how I get to my conclusion. There's probably going to be 3 videos, but this is the start. Otherwise, if I just give you what I think, it's unfounded. So this is going to be about how coronavirus is presented to us in the media versus the medical and scientific facts. As much as I didn't want to mention those words fake news, I'm afraid I'm going to have to. I found this table on the Public County Library, Albuquerque and Bernalillo. Incidentally, in 2005 they received a $159,000 grant from our friends at the Gates Foundation. But that aside, this is quite a handy table. It's got 10 types of misleading or fake news. If we look at the conspiracy theorist one, it says they try to explain simply complex realities as response to fear or uncertainty. Rejects experts and authority. Well, if that makes me a conspiracy theorist, then so be it. And the reason I say that is for this. The official number of proteins, we are told that coronavirus has, COVID-19, has 29 proteins. But you see, it's not true, because on the virology report, when this was first discovered, it clearly says number of proteins 38. So if they can't even get that right, what else have they got wrong? Well, apparently some paltry detail like its name and when it first appeared. If we look at the report above, you'll see 2 names in the box, SARS-CoV-2 and WUHAN-HU-1. Now, I'd never heard of the latter, and looking around, I found this. It's a paper from April, and the main body of the text is about studying the S2, so the spike glycoprotein, with regards to finding a vaccine. But right at the beginning, it says this: coronaviruses have been known to medicine for some time, but it is of course only very recently that the coronavirus SARS-CoV-2, the COVID-19 virus, new and dangerous to humans, was identified. It is believed to be related to an initial cluster of pneumonia cases associated with a seafood and fresh meat market in Wuhan, China. Current case rates at the time of writing are close to 1 million, with close to 60,000 deaths. The genomic relationships to other coronaviruses were quickly examined by Liu et al. To shed light on the origins, epidemiology and receptor binding of the virus. Now listen to this. On the 17th of January 2019, the Wuhan Isolate GenBank, and it gives you the entry numbers, it says originally it was seen by authorities as a coronavirus outbreak, but not as SARS. However, its genomic relationships examined in ref blah 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 also showed many fairly close correlations with the genomes of SARS-CoV in the previous human but not pandemic outbreaks and in pigs, bats and civets, and the emphasis was on finding subsequences that are well conserved across coronavirus strains and species. The earliest patients suffering from what is now called COVID-19 had overall 99.98% genome sequence identity to the above Wuhan isolate, so that one may reasonably say that it is the origin of COVID-19 and its virus SARS-CoV-2. So as you can see from the virology report, its official strain name is WUHAN-HU-1 and its GenBank definition is both that and SARS-CoV-2. It's amazing what you can find out when you know the proper name of the virus. Typing in that name has led me to this PDF. It's an article from the Iranian Journal of Virology. Now at the top and the bottom it says 2019. However, in the first paragraph it mentions May the 19th, 2020. So I'm not sure if the date at the top is wrong. It sounds like it is. Anyway, the title of the document is SARS-CoV-2 a product of reverse genetics using vaccinia virus-based recombination? Now what that means is, was SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19, made in a lab? Basically that's it. The first paragraph, at the end of it, it says there has been considerable discussion on the origin of the causative virus SARS-CoV-2, with some evidence that it is not a laboratory construct or a purposefully manipulated virus. But the point of this exercise was they conducted a study to see if it could have been manufactured, and there's lots and lots of technical jargon there that it's taken me a long time to get my head around, so I'm not going to read that out. I'm just going to give you the gist of what happened. They used the vaccinia virus, which is a really good solid virus for doing this kind of thing. It's the virus they used to create the smallpox vaccine. It's very good at mixing with other viruses, so they used that. And in short, you can read it all for yourself, I've left the link. In short, the conclusion was that it could have been made in a lab. If you look here, I mean it doesn't mean a lot, but it says the let me find that bit. It says human corona, severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2, isolate Wuhan-1, and all that. It says was performed using the pairwise sequence alignment online tool. It was 100% specific for just one site in the severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2 isolate Wuhan-1 was clearly identified in figure 1, which is this one. So there could be a possible trace of the thiamine kinase gene of the vaccinia virus in the WUHAN-HU-1 and the SARS-CoV-2 viruses resulted from homologous recombination. That just means the mixing of two different genes, so it's like a sperm meeting an egg, that kind of thing, mix and match. It says the SARS-CoV-2 viruses resulted from homologous recombination between the adjacent TK segment of the VAC-V or its base vectors within the coronavirus virus's genome. Further research on such a possibility is warranted. Now, I do suggest you go and read this. It's going to take a hell of a lot of looking up terms and trying to get your head around it, but when you've done that, you will see how close their made up lab COVID-19 really is. It's incredible. So the fact that we're told that it's not possible to have made this in a lab, this chap in Iran and his colleagues have said it's definitely a possibility. I would never have found any of this information in a regular search engine. I had to use Google Scholar to find these. That's a top tip. If you want to do any researching, you'll find that the PDFs haven't been censored. Well, not all of them. It's much better. So if you go on Google Scholar, you'll be able to find out much more information than you do on a regular search engine. But no, we wouldn't have found, I couldn't find anything like this in a regular search engine, and I tried a couple. But because of that, and I found them, I'm deemed a conspiracy theorist. When in fact, if we think back to that fake news table, what we're being sold is propaganda. It says adopted by governments, corporations and non-profits to manage attitudes, values and knowledge. It appeals to the emotions and can be beneficial or harmful, But if you'll notice something very interesting, it's the only one on this list that is green, has a green banner, which means it's neutral. How on earth can propaganda be neutral? Surely it should be the worst rating ever. But no, conspiracy theorists are red, the worst, the highest. We're peddled horrific information about this lethal virus. At the time of making this video, there were 985,000 deaths worldwide from COVID-19. But they don't tell you that in 2017, I mean there's no later figures for this, 2.53 million people died from pneumonia. But we don't hear about things like that. We're made to feel guilty with headlines like "Don't kill Granny." If we go out, we're called covidiots if we break the rules. And if we do break these rules, we're going to be punished with even more restrictions. How dare we? I could go on and on and on about this, but I want to use some of this information in another video, my conclusion. So I'll stop for today. I bet you're pleased about that, and I'll pick it up in another video.